Okay, we are live, and I'm not sure if looks like my face isn't showing up. Have to figure that out next week, I guess. Is my voice? Can you guys hear my voice? Anybody out there? On the looks like we got two people viewing right now. Maybe more to come. A lot of advertisement the last 30 minutes with our one posting. Okay. Well, if you guys have any deals you want to analyze, okay, great. Yeah, voice is hearing. If you guys have any deals you want to analyze, just go ahead and throw them out in the live chat. Any addresses you want to review, any, yeah, yeah. If you got an address you want to analyze, throw it out there, and we'll go ahead and analyze it. If not, we can go ahead and just get started and start looking at some deals. So. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and I'll just start clicking through these. So it looks like this is the most recent deal that hit our system in Tacoma in the Central District. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so first page, when you show up on a property on Pellego, you're going to be in this tab called Property. So this is the tab where you can see things that you would normally find in your standard search tool for real estate out there. So this is going to be where you're going to have all the property information, all the listing information, none of those Pellego specific things such as the comps or the rehab, and we'll get to that in a second. So first thing I like to do when I'm reviewing a deal is I like to just click through the photos real quick. And this is the time when I try to go pretty quick through the photos because we don't even know if this is a good deal or not. Like it might not be a good deal at all, so we don't want to waste too much time chasing the wrong deal. So I go through the photos pretty quickly, normally maybe a little bit faster than that. And you don't really need to know too many details about this when we went through it to just know that, okay, this needs a ton of work or whatever this is. I actually have never seen a house look like this before, so this is definitely going to need a lot of work. So once I get established that idea, then what I'm going for is I want to get a range of what the comps are showing for the ARV, as well as how much it's going to cost us to get there. So my first instinct already is that this is a tight deal because we're at 185 entry, 291 exit, but it's going to cost a ton to rehab this thing. So let's get into it. So first we want to establish the comps because the comps are going to be one of our easiest ways to say yes or no. In this case, we're using Pellego, so the comps are generally decent, especially in Tacoma where there's a lot of volume. So I'm looking at comp number one, and what I'm going to do is just go ahead, go through the photos there, and just get a sense of the condition there. So this is like very nice. This is a flip, or at least it's like a flip. Maybe it was didn't happen in a year, but it's got that feeling of a flip. It's kind of yard is a little weird, so maybe I think we can do a little bit better than that with our deal. But I think this is a pretty good comp to represent the condition we're going for. So ours has got a little bit more character in the front. We've got 250 sale price in August. So that was a little while back. So we've got an adjusted value of 294. So we've got 28,000 for the market appreciation and nothing really big going on there. I'd say there's a little more character in the subject property too. So I think that the 294 500 is probably on the lower end of what's feasible. So if we're looking at the property again, again, lots of character there. I'm going to go to the property tab and I'm going to go look at the street view. So this is kind of the next thing I want to understand when I'm looking at that comp is what's going on. And I can already see it. You can open it up like this. I can already see something's going on that's very weird with the across the street. We got just a bunch of cars. Cars are like a lot of cars is generally a bad thing. I don't know if this is our subject property. Ooh, looks like we passed it. Is this it? Okay, I think we went past that. So anyways, across the street was not great either though. So, when I'm looking at the curb appeal from this one versus the comp versus the subject, I'm maybe actually this isn't worse. Maybe it's actually better. So keep that in mind. Maybe we're a little bit lower than 294. Maybe it's 290. And let's go on. By the way, if you guys have any questions at any point, feel free to just add something to the live chat. Or if you have a property you want to analyze. I'm just kind of using a generic one while we get started. Okay, so comp number 2 was a flip. Always fun to look at those before and afters. Ooh, yikes. Okay. Great, great. Okay, so this one, I don't know if you noticed it, the popcorn ceilings. You want to, it's important to be able to go through the photos fast because there's so many deals to look at, so many comps to look at. You want to just kind of get a sense for identifying things quickly. I think this is a decent flip. Now, this is a split level, so it's not going to be quite as nice as a 1.5 story, which is where the subject property is. So something to keep in mind. We've got an adjusted value of 264 on this one. So let's see, I don't know if we're taking into account the structure and from the structure style or anything like that. So I'd probably think a little higher than that 264 for that comp. And then we just kind of keep going. And this is the process I recommend for your deals. First, a really quick overview with all the comps, then go a little deeper. So this is probably the least nice comp so far. And what's stuck out to me about this one, besides that it was in a lesser condition, is that the adjusted value is actually higher than anything else we've seen. So I want to dive into that, see what's going on here. Nothing really weird is happening. It could have just been that this sold for more. It could have been that it's on this side of 15th. I wouldn't say that should make too big of a difference. But when you're confronted with these things, you can always kind of click around on these comps and see, okay, is there a pattern? Are they more expensive on that side? If it's like 6th Avenue over here, you're gonna see that. But generally around here, it's my experience pretty similar. So I do like clicking around on these. This one seems to have great character already. Kind of has that same feel of more than just your standard Rambo look, that 1.5 story look. It's also not that nice. So something to consider here is I think that there's an argument that our ARV is above 300. But I would just keep going. Let's look at some of these other comps. So we got comp number 5. Okay, that's kind of ideal. So if you like, that's great. But don't get too focused on any one comp. It just happens to be that this comp is really similar from the outside. So it's not quite as nice as some of the other comps on the inside, but we do have a similar feel overall to what's possible. Great bathroom, all those kind of floors. And we got I guess it's not even a particularly big backyard. Our lot size is actually a little bigger in the subject property. So cool. Let's keep going. That one was 296 adjusted value. By the way, I keep bringing up this adjusted value because this is probably where the comp sales price becomes very relevant. So you might notice this one says sold in August 2017, and you might think, okay, well, how do we use August 2017 comps? And from our research, we actually get a better, more rounded ARV if we go back in time more than 3 or 6 months. It's great to have that comp from yesterday that's next door. But when you have few comps, let's say you only have that one perfect comp from next door that sold yesterday, it's possible that that's an outlier. It's possible that the buyer who bought that is not your usual buyer. Maybe they have a family member who lives a block away and they just like that house is worth more to them than any other house could have been worth. Or for whatever reason, they paid more than they should have or less than they should have on that one. So more comps is generally good, even if it feels like you're starting to lose the tightness of your search. I really recommend starting with that broadness. And generally speaking, time is a better thing to go broader on, go further back in time versus going broader on the feature set. So if it's sold in August 2017, it's appreciated since then. And when you go to the adjusted value, you can see that appreciation is in there, the 32,000 right there. So it's accounting for that. Now you might look at that and go, oh, I don't know about that 32. Maybe it should be 20. Maybe it should be 50. That's okay. Whatever you think it is, you've got your thesis, and those there's nothing wrong with. If anything, I encourage you to assume Pellego is wrong or missing something in one of these adjusted values. But either way, I definitely encourage you to look at the adjusted values to see where the assumptions are and what they are. So, okay, so we've gone through these comps. I think we didn't go through this one. Let's go through this one quickly. Okay, so this one actually does not feel like a good comp. The kitchen's not very good. There's just like, you can't really replicate this kind of wood and charm I mean, you can have charm in any of your house, but there's something, this house is unique. And you've got that, you're just not going to have that in the new one. So combined with that kitchen not being great, and you know, I'm guessing that there's more like that. Maybe the bathroom, if we even get a bathroom shot. Okay, bathroom's not terrible. I mean, it's not necessarily remodeled. So yeah, I probably wouldn't include this in a comp, even though it's sold for more. It's interesting that it can sell for more even and not be relevant sometimes. So in this case, actually sold for 321, and we still adjusted that 292. And if you want to break it down, basically we've got an extra bathroom in that one. So with all that being said, I actually think that the Pellego ARV of 291,500 is probably spot on, or probably pretty close, before you account for appreciation, which we'll get into soon. Before I go on, you know, actually, what I was just thinking about is this extra bathroom, and what if we added a bathroom? What would that do to the deal? But before we do, I just want to get a quick summary view, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into there. So the next tab I'm going to click on is rehab. And in the rehab, I'm thinking just kind of right away, this is going to be what we call the to the studs rehab. Now, in some ways, it's kind of nice that a lot of this has already been demoed for us or exposed for us. It looks like there could potentially be quite a lot of damage that we're not even understanding here yet that we're going to want to see check out. Well, I actually do have those, actually, that really cool. Totally take back, I think, what I said earlier. You actually have a really cool staircase here. So yeah, maybe that comp was comparable. Who knows? We'll get back to that. So I'm thinking, though, it's going to be in this to the studs. Now, just because I moved the arrow here does not mean it actually changed this number. So you'll want to change this number to something that you think is reasonable. So we're at the lower end of heavy rehab to start off. I think that's not reasonable. I'm just looking like from the outside right there. Not very nice. We're probably going to want to build a fence, is my guess, just given what we saw across the street. Looks like there is a bit of a fence. Is that our fence? Could be the neighbor's fence. It's a decent fence. So more to know about that. These doors, by the way, you want to keep these kind of doors, really nice. Window, I think that's, we got a double pane window there. Will be good for the winter already. Let's see if we can get any closer shots. Well, it doesn't really look like a new window right there. So things to know, but I would go probably on the heavier end of heavy, or somewhere in that to the studs. So just for keep it quick here, let's go ahead and make it about 120. That'll be a big number just to get us started. Okay. And now that I've typed in that number over here, 120, that number is going to keep when I go to the flip tab over here, and it's going to have my ARV, my 120 rehab, and my mega loss that I'm going to get if I buy this property. So this is not really a good deal at this price point. So I'd probably move on at this point. But I am curious about this bathroom. So we actually have this thing where if you want to edit the structure, you can add a bathroom, like you call it 2 bathrooms, if that's even possible. Sometimes it's not. Let's do 175 because there's not that much square footage. Let's see what happens. So we bumped up the ARV there by about 13,000. So when you go back to your comps now, you can see, hey, we added that. And then when you go through those, you're basing it on that. So I think that this ARV, this one's one I think we rejected earlier. Yeah. So I don't know, like if this one was rejected and we can, it's got a breakfast nook, hard to compete with the breakfast nook. But I think there's probably an argument for the ARV being somewhere in that before the bathroom in that 290 to after the bathroom, probably, you know, up into 310, 320, not necessarily because of the bathroom, but because there is a range here. The bathroom would kind of seal that in a bit more. Now, with that being said, either way, you're not even close to a deal on this one. And the offer probability here has a pretty bad offer probability, so we're probably just going to move on from this one. But that gives you an overview of how this all works and what you would do. So any questions on that one before we move on? If you guys have any deals, you can throw them out there again. And I'll just wait a moment. Let's see. I think I was going to mention something else. Let's just go through a couple of the features while we're here. So there's the structural information on the right side. You can go ahead and learn more about the property through that process. Just scroll up and down here. You can go to the parcel, the actual county. We have a link to the county page if you click that. So you can go ahead and see link to the county. Okay. And you get the sales history if you want to look at the sales history. I don't think this deal is ever going to work as a rental just because there's so much work. Oh, right. The other thing is the appreciation. So we got huge appreciation going on in the Central District. I wouldn't bank on that appreciation. And even if you did and you click this, you'd see how you'd still be losing money here. But I do think that it's worth, perhaps going into this deal around $25,000, which feels very light for that amount of rehab. And probably is still too light. I'm not sure I actually endorse that. But theoretically, if you can make $25,000 going in, it'd feel pretty slim for this amount of rehab. But if the opportunity to then bump up would be there after the appreciation, it might still be worth it. And in this case, maybe it takes more than 5 months, and that bumps up the appreciation a little bit more. Okay. How do you browse deals on Pellego? It has changed since last time I used it. Yes, it has. So we made the browse pages just for Pellego clients. So the idea is that if you want to shop with us, with our agents to buy properties, you're welcome to use these pages and browse deals. You can see that on the flips, more of them have this agent review. So you can click that and see, hey, are these deals we've looked at, are these numbers something that we think are close enough that you'll get a similar result, or when you click on it and you do analysis, your initial numbers will be similar as well. So you can get, if you don't want to, or if you want to see every property, you can uncheck it and just kind of go through each one by one. We also recently started offering a agent license program. So if you're a licensed agent, you can hang your license at Pellego, and you also get access to these pages and some other tools that we're going to be bringing out over the next couple of months. Okay, so let me know if you have any more questions on that. I'll move on to the next one. We'll do one more property unless someone's got an address, and then otherwise we'll want to we'll wrap it up and we'll go from there. So let's take a look at this one. It looks like well, we just did one of these kind of populated areas. So Tacoma, Seattle, normally there's quite a lot of comps. If we look at either of these Seattle properties, we're probably going to see in Seattle, one of the challenges is that the comps, everything has to be closer. You got a lot of differences in location that you wouldn't see in other places. So that's something to watch out for in Seattle. A lot more street by street. Hey, if I'm on this side of 85th versus that side of 85th. So those are some things to think about. On the rehab side of things with Seattle, you often have unfinished basement opportunity. So perfect. Yeah, exactly. Unfinished basement. So the way you would do that is you would edit the structure and you'd be at 2690. So, and then you can see the ARV. In this case, really didn't change at all. And keep in mind the ARV probably should have changed, but what is often the case is that, it's always based on the comps. I don't know what's going on here. Something funky happened, that's for sure. Let's try refreshing that. It's going to be based on the comp. So it's possible that the house is worth more after you edit the structure, and Pellego's just not saying it's worth more because the comps, for whatever reason, aren't showing that. I wouldn't say that means that that's true. The comps are just parts of the data points that indicate those ultimate decisions. So if you finish a basement, more often than not, it will bump up the ARV. Now, that's not to say that it'll be profitable. It could cost more money to do it, and we have to make sure that we got a height that is not too short that we can't build in it. So I'm going to go through these, and you get a sense of the height. So when you're working with our agent team, kind of going back to your question, Ruth, about how to use the browse pages, one of the things we offer with the agent team too is that we have a team of field agents that will go ahead and take pictures and videos at these properties, so that if you want to kind of get an initial sense of things without going there yourselves, they can go there and they would measure the kind of rough height of it too. You can also use some visual cues when you're thinking about the height, like how tall do we think this door is? How tall do we think this is. So, and how low are some of these things going to go? So that's something that it's and the difference of just a few inches can make it so that you can or can't do it. So you really want to get that. And each city or jurisdiction is going to have a different rules on what you can finish. I believe in Seattle we're like 6 feet 9 inches. Could be off by a couple inches there. I'm not sure. What really concerns me about this photo, though, or what I kind of want to make sure I bring up before I close out of here, is that there's probably some sort of water that looks like water here. That's something that would be slightly concerning to me that I'd want to look into more. So this is definitely the kind of thing we're going to want to get a field agent out there. We're going to want to learn more about this property on site. Great table out there, though. Really classes up the place. Okay, let's go find another property to look at. Let's go find one that's going to be a little harder to analyze, something that's a little further from the beaten path. So let's see. What do we got? Ashland, that's probably too far from the beaten path. That's going to be not great for the video. Okay, let's do Marysville. Like, there's not going to be that much volume in Marysville in terms of deals, in terms of comps. So you're going to be in a slightly more challenging situation. So first thing, we go through the photos, check it out. Okay, it needs work. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why they're bringing our attention to this road, but that's just, could have just snapped a couple pictures. We don't have a street view here, so I kind of want to Google this. Oh, interesting. It's in Tulalip or Marysville. I think I almost recognize this one. Normally, if we don't have a street view on Pellego, it means there's no street view. But I like to check, the satellite view, see if there's anything weird that I'm just missing. It'd be good to get out of the way. Anything you can do to eliminate the deal early is good. Anything in Renton? I see your comment, Ruth. Let me check that out in just a moment. We'll just quickly go through this deal. All right, so here's where we're at on this one. Okay, so first thing, I want to check the comps. Kind of just go through a few real quick. See, there's like this huge, I don't know if you noticed it, there's this huge adjusted value jump. So this one's like way lower than some of the other ones. Oh boy. So yeah, we're gonna get rid of that comp. Not good. So one of the challenges also in these areas is it's harder for Pellego to find comps. Like this one's all the way here. It's a location issue. Probably want to get in some. We'll work on that on some point. And then we got a pretty big discrepancy here, also in adjusted value. So it kind of looks like we got an accessory structure there, accessory dwelling that's probably bumping up that price. We got 567 adjusted value versus that 630. Nope, wrong one. Versus the 422 also has got that accessory dwelling. Not quite as nice. Okay, so this is like a one. So in these situations where there's pretty much no comps, you got to kind of pick your favorite comp. Now, I like comp one way more than every other comp, but I also want to be conscious of the fact that this area is closest to this bad comp. So maybe there's something going on with that area, and I don't actually know one way or the other. So this is where we'd also want to get some field insight going on. But I lean towards this with an understanding of this, and we also don't have really much of an accessory dwelling there, depending on what you call that. So I think that looking at a 500 ARV, like I probably wouldn't do 567. I might even do lower than 500. Boy, I have no idea. Maybe start with 450, see where we go. And that's gonna keep when I'm over here. And so this is actually like maybe a deal. Now, this profit seems low, but keep in mind this probability is high. So you probably could go lower in price and get the deal. You want to talk to the agent first. That's something that we do through our services. The rehab might also be, it's hard to say if rehab is actually low because the expectations are lower too for what you're going to do with these properties. And maybe you want to hold it as a rental first. So I don't know, something interesting on this one if you're into Marysville. Okay, let's go to Renton. Okay, so we got, now these listings, not all listings stay up for a while. So keep in mind there's not always a lot of deals in any specific area. Like if you search Renton on a random day, you might not find a lot in Renton. But if you're looking for Renton deals in general, when one does pop up, you'll be you want to get on that, or surrounding areas and such. Okay, so Renton, let's see what we got here. So first of all, this is 16 days on market, and it's bank owned. And the thing about bank owned properties too is that oftentimes they have a 15-day owner occupant only period. So this is something you'd want to go onto the MLS and look at. I don't know. I think it'd be probably not kosher for me to go on the MLS because there's some agent only remarks and contact information and owner information. So probably just stay on the safe side. I'm not going to check that. But if it was like a HUD or a Fannie Mae or something, generally speaking, there's this initial non-investor period where only owner occupants and nonprofits and religious organizations, I think those are the three groups, are allowed to purchase it. So moving into the deal. Okay, so we got really like quite a lot of work here. A lot of funkiness in this kitchen. Now, what I see here, though, what's interesting here is the kitchen always is going to need work, almost like in a lot of these flips. But what's interesting is actually the ceiling here, because at first it's like, oh, these lights aren't very good, but who cares, right? We're gonna switch that. But what is interesting is you got this beam right here. You got maybe like a vent going on over here, and maybe is this a skylight right here? So that could be really cool. And this is open already. It feels open at least. So I imagine if you had better taste with your countertops and such, you could actually make this a really, really awesome kitchen. Backyard seems really nice. So this is kind of like, my first instinct is like, oh, I'd love to remodel this house. Yeah, tons of character. Got the brick here and the beams here. Something cool could happen here. But it might not be a deal because ultimately only the numbers matter. So already I'm noticing, hey, 339, 450, it's kind of tight, and if you go look here, it is a little tight. And this rehab is probably way too low. So my first thing I want to check here actually is I'm going to go straight to the rehab because the rehab feels way too low. And I'm going to say that it's probably at least it's probably on the heavier end of heavy. As we check out the properties, we're going to want to go into a more specific rehab number, but you want to just start with the ballpark number. Like you don't have to start adding up, oh, we need kitchen and we need 8 windows that are this size and 4 windows like that are this size. Just very rough estimate. Like, are we even in the ballpark? Is this deal even worth looking at further? So let's say it was just like 80,000. That's just a simple, easy peasy number. And you can already see, okay, has this work? Ooh, not a number. So now the probability is high at this price. And so it's possible that we could actually go quite a lot lower, maybe even 300. And well, that says we can't go 300. But this is where our next step would be calling the listing agent, learning more about it. Do they have any offers in this 15 days? Did they have? Like, what happened? Does the bank have any rules? Like bank-owned properties sometimes have rules about when they can or can't price reduce, or what type of offers they'll look at. So, which can work to your advantage and your too. Also, like if they can't drop a price by a lot, you can say, okay, well, when is the next price reduction happening? What's your normal price reduction schedule? And if it's every 25 days or whatever, and you're on day 15, they're like, hey, we can't look at offers that are that price till day 25. Okay, well now that could be really interesting. You could even write an offer on day 25 before the price reduction. So something to consider there. And the bank-owned listing agents too are a bit frustrated too because they might think the property is worth less than the listing price, and they wish we could just do the market. So anyways, enough about that. So this deal probably won't work. Probably have with that rehab, probably more carrying time anyways. So the only possible way this deal is going to work is if the comps are worth more than what we think they're worth. So we got big cluster comps here, and we got only one comp here, and it looks like we got a moat going on. So I'm not. My initial guess is that Pellego probably doesn't know about this moat and some of these things. It might, but I'm going to probably prioritize comp number 2 and kind of start right with that one. Okay, great. Actually, we got even the skylights going on there. Now, there's no beams, so I think our subject property has a lot more character potential to it. Backyard seems similar. So yeah, I'd say we could probably do better than this this comp, but I want to start looking at some of these other comps too. So 430, 440. Okay. So we've kind of got that sense. A lot of different solid looking comps here in that mid to 400s. Um, I think, yeah, this kind of reinforces that 450 value too, because I think we can do better than this. I wouldn't be surprised if this went way above 450, and especially when you factor in that appreciation, which isn't as strong as the Central District beforehand. But I wouldn't be surprised if you can list this for 475 and even maybe get bidding war above 500, assuming the market holds and you really have nice finishes and everything is really well done, and you're listing it well, etc. So there's definitely, this deal is not out of the question. Like, I'd want to call the listing agent, but I don't think, like, at the initial price at 339, it's not a deal one way or another. That's for sure. Because even if you went to that 500, which is totally speculative, even if you went to 500, which again I don't recommend doing, then yeah, you'd make a lot of money, but again, they're not going to take that 339. If you went to 339, you're gonna, you know, you're not really going to make a big return on your rehab. And keep in mind this, we can't add the appreciation to this because we already did add the appreciation mentally. So this is like your best case scenario. So I, in no case would want to buy this at list price. Maybe, like, I don't know. This is definitely, I'd want to do some more exploring on this one. I think that a 310 offer would potentially have enough profit at there, but probably not. So I'd probably move on. Some things to think about also, though, are what is going to be your selling commission, your listing commission? How are you doing your financing? If you're a general contractor and you're thinking, oh, I could do this for 60 or whatever, then yeah, it'll work. But $80,000 is also not something I'm very confident in. I feel like the number could be even higher than that too, even though the house is not that old and not that large, actually. Well, it just feels like everything kind of needs to be touched. I mean, the layout is fine. Maybe you have structure. I don't know if you have structural issue now. You check it out. That's the kitchen. It's a little tight there. Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, I wouldn't. This probably isn't a deal. Just simply because of the that kind of margin is very thin. And I'm just going to go ahead and we made a couple changes. I'm just going to save this for some of our clients. Okay. Ruth, any question on that one, or properties in Renton in general, or any address you want to look up? Not sure if anybody else is watching. Looks like we got one other person, a mystery person. Okay. Well, I'll give it just a couple more minutes, and then we'll close off for the week. We're going to be doing this every Thursday at 7:30. Do you ever see obvious deals? Yeah, every day. I mean, depends what you mean by obvious. I think that the obvious ones are probably almost less appealing than the non-obvious ones. Like that last one where it's like, I don't know, or like all the ones where we're like, I don't know on. That's probably what the general sentiment is between other investors. So there's often opportunities in that sentiment. Whereas if everyone's like, oh, this is a deal, then we're going to get into a bidding war. And then someone's going to go, oh, I want to offer a little more. And you actually have a lower chance in general, I would say, of getting it. Those are still doable. And what often happens is that people even give up before the offer review day and say, hey, what's the point? It's going to have a bidding war. And then there's no offer. So there's some cool, they're definitely feasible. And I think it's worth an offer on all of them. But I actually think that the more difficult, less obvious deals are probably more fruitful to go after. Okay. So yeah, every Thursday, 7:30, we're gonna do this diamond in the rough thing. We haven't really promoted it a lot. Kind of just sent a message about it. So we don't have a lot of people this time, but we're gonna keep doing it, whether we got a lot of people or not a lot of people. Just kind of make it a thing. And yeah, come join us if you're seeing this later, and bring your addresses if you want, or just watch quietly, and no need to participate either. Okay. Yeah, thanks for participating, Ruth. Appreciate the questions. Talk to you later.